Ladies and gentlemen, this is your man, Steve Harvey, and today I want to talk to you about something real, something that separates dreamers from doers, talkers from achievers. The title is simple but powerful: Force yourself to organize your life. Now, I know that word force doesn't sound pretty. Nobody wants to be forced to do anything, but if you don't force yourself, life will force you. And that's a much harder lesson to learn. Discipline is the foundation of success, and that's something most people overlook because it doesn't sound exciting. Everybody loves talking about dreams, ambition, and motivation, but when it comes to discipline, to that daily grind, that structure, that consistent effort, most people run away. But I'm telling you right now, without discipline, nothing else matters. You can have all the talent in the world, all the dreams, all the vision boards on your wall, but if you don't have the discipline to show up every single day, your dreams will stay exactly that, dreams. Discipline is what separates winners from quitters. It's not about doing something when you feel like it. It's about doing it even when you don't. You see, feelings are temporary, but discipline builds habits. And habits build your future. I remember when I first started out in comedy, man, I was tired, broke, and struggling. But I got up every morning and wrote jokes, practiced routines, made calls, and chased opportunities. There were days I didn't feel like it, but if I had listened to my feelings, I wouldn't be standing here today. Discipline made me who I am. People think success is about luck. But it's not. Luck might open a door for you, but discipline is what keeps that door open. You can't expect progress if you're not consistent. Every great athlete, every successful entrepreneur, every person who made something out of nothing, they all built their life on discipline. They practiced when nobody was watching, they worked when nobody clapped, and they stayed committed when everyone else quit. That's the price of success. Discipline is not punishment. It's freedom. Think about it. When you're disciplined with your money, you gain financial freedom. When you're disciplined with your time, you gain peace of mind. When you're disciplined with your health, you gain energy. Discipline doesn't trap you, it liberates you from chaos. It's about taking control of your life instead of letting life control you. It's not easy, but nothing worth having ever is. The truth is, discipline doesn't come naturally to anyone. You have to train it like a muscle. At first, it feels uncomfortable. Waking up early, planning your day, saying no to distractions, staying focused. But every time you push through that resistance, you get stronger. It's like going to the gym. The more you lift, the easier it becomes. Discipline grows with repetition, not motivation. Motivation fades, discipline lasts. And let's be real, we all make excuses. I'm too tired. I don't have time. I'll start tomorrow. But excuses don't build success, they build regret. Every time you let an excuse win, you push your goals further away. Discipline is about being stronger than your excuses. It's about saying, I'm going to do it anyway. That's how you win in life. You have to treat discipline like your best friend. You might not always like what it tells you, but it's always leading you in the right direction. If you wake up and plan your day, you're training discipline. If you stick to your goals instead of giving in to distractions, you're strengthening discipline. Every small act of self-control adds up to something powerful. It becomes a lifestyle, and once it's a lifestyle, it becomes automatic. See, discipline is not just about organization. It's about identity. When you start living with discipline, you start seeing yourself differently. You stop saying, I can't, and start saying, I will. You begin to trust yourself. And that's where confidence comes from, knowing that you can depend on yourself to do what needs to be done. That's the real foundation of success. So don't wait for the perfect time to be disciplined. Start now. Even if you take small steps, stay consistent. Over time, those small steps will become big changes. And when life gets tough, your discipline will carry you through. Because when motivation dies, when opportunities disappear, when nobody believes in you, discipline will still be there standing strong, reminding you that success isn't built overnight. It's built day by day through the power of discipline. Your environment reflects your mindset, and that truth is more powerful than most people realize. You can tell a lot about a person's thoughts just by looking at the space they live and work in. If your surroundings are messy, if your room is cluttered, if your desk is full of things that don't belong there, it usually means your mind is cluttered too. The chaos outside you often mirrors the chaos inside you. That's why organizing your environment is not just about cleaning up. It's about clearing your thoughts, regaining focus, and resetting your energy. When you walk into a space that's organized, bright, and peaceful, you immediately feel lighter. Your mind opens up, your ideas flow better, and your motivation increases. But when you're surrounded by disorder, it drains your energy and clouds your decision-making. See, your environment either pushes you forward or pulls you down. If you hang around people who complain, who make excuses, who never want to grow, it's only a matter of time before you start acting the same way. But if you put yourself around people who are driven, focused, and disciplined, that energy rubs off on you. That's why you got to be selective with not just the physical space you live in, but the mental and emotional spaces you allow yourself to enter. You can't expect to live a positive life in a negative environment. You can't expect to think clearly when you're surrounded by noise. You can't expect to grow when everything around you is shrinking. Sometimes organizing your life starts with changing where you are and who you're around. If your room doesn't inspire you, rearrange it. If your circle doesn't challenge you, upgrade it. If your routine doesn't serve your goals, redesign it. Don't underestimate the impact of your environment on your success. I've seen people lose focus not because they didn't have talent, but because they were in the wrong place, around the wrong people, with the wrong habits. Your environment can be a silent killer of your dreams if you don't pay attention to it. And think about your workspace, the place where you create, work, and plan. If that space is full of distractions, you won't produce your best work. If you're constantly checking your phone, watching TV, or jumping between tasks, you're training your brain to be scattered. But if you create a clean, simple, and focused environment, your brain starts to mirror that structure. You begin to work with more clarity, more creativity, and more purpose. It's not about perfection, it's about alignment. When your environment is aligned with your goals, you move with flow instead of friction. There's something spiritual about cleaning and organizing too. When you clear away the old, you make space for the new. When you remove clutter, you're not just creating physical space. You're creating emotional space for peace, gratitude, and inspiration. That's why people feel refreshed after cleaning or redecorating. It's not just the room that changes, it's their mindset. You start thinking better because you can see better. You start believing in yourself because your surroundings remind you of what's possible. And listen, I know some people say, Steve, I work fine in my mess, but that's not true. You may survive in chaos, but you can't thrive in it. A cluttered life keeps you distracted. You lose track of your goals, your priorities get mixed up, and your energy gets wasted. Success requires focus, and focus requires order. You can't focus in the middle of confusion. You can't dream big when your life feels small and scattered. So take responsibility for your environment. It's a reflection of how much you respect yourself and your vision. If you want a successful life, you got to build an environment that supports that success. Surround yourself with things that motivate you, quotes that lift your spirit, books that challenge your mind, People who push you higher make your home, your workspace, even your phone and social media feed a reflection of your goals. Every part of your environment should remind you of who you're becoming, not who you used to be. When I was coming up in comedy, I had to distance myself from people who were comfortable staying stuck. It wasn't easy, but I realized my surroundings were shaping my standards. If I stayed in that same circle, I'd never grow. I started spending time with people who thought bigger, who dreamed bigger, who demanded more of themselves. That shift changed everything. My mindset, my habits, and eventually my success. Sometimes you don't need to change your dream. You just need to change your environment. Your environment should speak life into you. It should remind you daily of your potential, not your problems. That means taking control of it, cleaning it, protecting it, and shaping it to match your vision. Because once your environment changes, your mindset follows. And once your mindset changes, your whole life begins to shift. You start walking with more confidence, thinking with more clarity, and living with more purpose. So don't ignore what's around you. It's either building you or breaking you. Choose wisely, because your environment is the mirror that reflects your destiny. Small organization creates big transformation, and that's the truth most people don't realize until they look back at how far they've come from the little things they started fixing. Everybody wants to make a big change overnight, but real transformation doesn't happen that way. It's the result of small, consistent actions that build up over time. When you start to organize the small parts of your life, you create momentum, and that momentum turns into major growth. The key is not to wait for the perfect moment to start. It's to start where you are with what you have and to do it faithfully every single day. See, people think transformation means doing something dramatic, like moving to a new city or quitting their job or buying something big to start fresh. But true transformation starts with discipline in the details. It's cleaning your space before you go to bed, setting your goals before the week begins, making your bed in the morning, or writing down your to-do list. Those small habits seem ordinary, but they build extraordinary results because they shape your mindset. When you start organizing small things, you're training your brain to operate with order, to value structure, and to take control. That mental shift is what builds the foundation for everything else. You can't expect to build a successful future when the little things in your life are out of control. If your car is full of trash, your bills are unpaid, your messages are unread, your goals are unwritten. All those little pieces of disorder become distractions. They steal your energy and focus. You might not even realize it, but every bit of clutter around you adds mental weight. The more clutter you have, the heavier you feel. But once you start organizing, even the smallest area, you'll notice something change inside of you. Your energy lifts. Your confidence grows. You start to feel capable again, because the truth is progress builds pride. Every little improvement makes you want to do more. When you organize small parts of your life, you begin to believe that you handle the bigger ones. That's the power of momentum. You don't wake up one morning with a transformed life. You wake up one morning and realize that the small things you've been doing consistently have changed everything. It's like building a wall one brick at a time. The first few bricks don't look like much, but keep laying them, and soon you've built something solid. The same is true for your life. Clean your desk, plan your schedule, manage your money, set boundaries. Those simple actions are the building blocks of transformation. Let me tell you something from experience. When I was struggling early in my career, I didn't have the luxury of big opportunities, but I could control small things. I could organize my time. I could plan my jokes. I could prepare before every performance. I focused on getting the little things right, and that discipline changed my life. Small organization built habits, habits built consistency, and consistency built confidence. That's what carried me from sleeping in a car to standing on stages across the world. The big wins come from small routines. The beauty of small organization is that it removes excuses. You don't need to be rich, famous, or lucky to start organizing your life. You just need commitment. You can start with 5 minutes a day. You can clean one drawer, plan one day, or write one goal. The moment you start, you're already transforming, because transformation isn't about perfection. It's about progress. Every little thing you organize adds up to something greater. It's not about doing everything at once. It's about doing one thing well and another until your life starts reflecting the order you've been building inside. And here's another truth. Small organization leads to big confidence. When you know where your things are, when your plans are clear, when your goals are written, you move through life with calm and certainty. You stop reacting to chaos and start responding with purpose. That shift in energy changes how people see you, and more importantly, how you see yourself. Organization gives you power because it gives you control. You stop being overwhelmed by what's next and start being focused on what matters now. Transformation doesn't happen in one big step. It's built in thousands of small ones. The secret is to stay consistent even when it feels insignificant, because those tiny steps are laying the groundwork for something greater. Every time you choose order over chaos, you're rewriting your story. You're proving to yourself that you can handle responsibility, that you can manage your life, and that you're capable of growth. It's not about being intentional. So start small. Clean the corner of your room. Organize your thoughts. Write down your goals. Those little things are not just chores. They're steps toward becoming a stronger, clearer, more focused version of yourself. Small organization creates big transformation because it teaches you the most important lesson of all. Change doesn't come from what you dream about. It comes from what you consistently do, one small step at a time. Excuses destroy progress, and that's the truth most people don't want to face. Everyone wants success. Everyone wants change. But not everyone is willing to stop making excuses for why they don't have it yet. Excuses are comfortable. They make you feel safe. They let you believe that the reason you're not where you want to be is because of something or someone else. Your job, your background, your situation, your past. But excuses don't protect you, they imprison you. Every time you make one, you build another wall between you and your potential. If you keep doing it long enough, you'll wake up one day and realize those walls have become your entire life. You see, excuses sound smart in the moment. I don't have time. I'm too tired. I don't have the money. I'll start next week. But every single one of those statements has the same result. Nothing changes. You can talk yourself into comfort, but comfort doesn't grow you. You can justify your inaction, but justification won't get you any closer to your goals. The people who succeed aren't the ones with perfect circumstances. They're the ones who stopped making excuses and started making adjustments. They find a way. They push through. They make it happen, no matter what. When you make an excuse, you give away your power. You tell yourself that you're not in control of your own life. And once you believe that, you start living like a victim instead of a creator. The truth is, life is never going to hand you the perfect conditions to win. There will always be obstacles, always be challenges, always be something standing in your way. But the moment you stop letting those obstacles become excuses is the moment you take back control. The strongest people in the world are not the ones who never struggle. They're the ones who stop blaming the struggle. I met people who've come from nothing, no money, no support, no resources, and still built something incredible because they refused to make excuses. They found a way to learn, to grow, to adapt, to hustle. They didn't wait for life to get easier. They got stronger. And that's the difference. You can't control everything that happens to you, but you can control how you respond. You can choose to say, "This is hard, but I'm going to do it anyway." That's how progress happens. When I was struggling in my early career, I could have made 1,000 excuses to quit. I could have said, "I don't have the money," or "Nobody's giving me a chance," or "It's too late for me." But every time I thought about quitting, I reminded myself that my excuses wouldn't pay my bills or change my situation. My effort would. So I kept grinding. I forced myself to show up when I was tired, to work when I was broke, to believe when nothing around me looked possible. And that's why I made it. Not because I was lucky, but because I refused to let excuses win. Excuses feel harmless, but they're dangerous because they disguise themselves as truth. They convince you that you're being reasonable, that your situation is different, that you're waiting for the right time. But the right time never comes. There's no magic moment when everything aligns perfectly. You make the time by taking action. You create the opportunity by showing up. You make progress by doing what needs to be done, even when it's hard. Excuses will always sound better than effort, but effort will always take you further than excuses ever will. You have to start calling yourself out. Every time you catch yourself saying, "I can't," ask yourself, "Is that really true, or is that an excuse?" Every time you say, "I don't have time," look at how much time you waste on things that don't move you forward. Every time you say, "It's too hard," remind yourself that growth only comes from hard things. The moment you take responsibility is the moment you start changing your life. Responsibility is power, excuses are weakness. You can't hold both at the same time. The problem is, most people don't fail because they lack potential. They fail because they protect their excuses more than their dreams. They defend their limitations instead of challenging them. If you really want to grow, you have to be honest with yourself. You have to stop lying to yourself about why you haven't done what you said you would. You have to face the truth that your progress depends on you, not your circumstances. Excuses are easy. Growth is hard, but growth is where the rewards are. Every successful person you admire had a reason to quit. They just didn't take it. They turned excuses into motivation, obstacles into lessons, pain into progress. And you can do the same. The next time you feel like giving up, remind yourself that excuses don't build empires, they build regret. And regret is the worst kind of pain. The pain of knowing you could have done more, but didn't. So if you want progress, stop feeding your excuses. Starve them. Replace every excuse with action. Replace every doubt with effort. You don't need the perfect plan. You just need the courage to start. Because once you stop making excuses, life starts moving in your favor. The world opens up for people who take responsibility. Excuses destroy progress, but even imperfect effort builds it. Time management builds freedom, and that's something most people don't understand until they start running out of time. Everyone has the same 24 hours in a day, but what separates successful people from the rest is how they use those hours. You can't buy more time. You can't pause it, rewind it, or get it back once it's gone. Time is the most valuable resource you'll ever have, and when you learn to manage it, you take control of your entire life. Managing your time isn't about being strict. It's about being smart. It's about prioritizing what matters, cutting out what doesn't, and creating a system that gives you space to live freely without chaos or constant stress. Most people waste time without even realizing it. They get caught scrolling on their phones, talking about things that don't matter, worrying about what others think, or waiting for motivation to strike. But successful people treat time like money. They invest it wisely. They know that every minute counts. They schedule their day with purpose, set boundaries around their focus, and refuse to spend time on things that don't move them forward. Time management isn't about doing more. It's about doing what matters most. When you manage your time, you manage your future. Freedom doesn't come from having nothing to do. It comes from having control over what you do. If your day controls you, you're not free. You're just reacting to life instead of leading.